back to my channel. I'm Rocky. I'm going to be doing my June wrap-up and my July TBR pick of the month. To begin with, I read all the books, all 9 books, in Vampire Kisses. Vampire Kisses, the first book. Kissing Coffins. Vampireville. Dance with a Vampire, The Coffin Club, Royal Blood, Love Bites, Cryptic Coffins, and Immortal Hearts by Ellen Strieber. This was a cutesy vampire young adult series, and it was a guilty pleasure of mine. I had the first 4 books, and I enjoyed them when I was a teenager, and a bookstore that we recently went to had all the rest of the books, so I decided to pick them up and marathon this series and finish it. This was probably the worst. Book 9 was probably the worst book, in my opinion, because they weren't thinking about the consequences. Throughout this series, Raven is a 16, 17-year-old girl that wishes to be a vampire. And Alexander, her boyfriend, is 17, 18 throughout the series and is a vampire. And it's just insta-love, and they don't think about the consequences down the road. And she's not even done with high school. And yeah, it's just very hard. At that age, I probably was the same way about vampires, and because I liked vampires. I liked all horror stuff as a kid, and I probably was the same way. It's just, I don't know, I feel like I would have at least thought about the consequences a little bit. Just a little bit more than she has. My favorite of the series is Coffin Club, and that's only because there's a twist in it, and she kind of meets other vampires other than Alexander and his nemesis that she already knows, and so she understands kind of other vampires that can be evil and good or in between, you know. But again, it was a good light read. It was 9 books, so after all the young adult books, I couldn't stand young adult anymore since I marathoned them. So the next ones are all going to be adult books. The next one is my June pick of the month was To Walk the Night by E.S. Moore. I do have a video review on this. If you want to look at that, I'll put the link below in the box. Yeah. The next books I read was Alternate and The Curse by Sholin Kenyon and Diana Love. This is book 2 and 3 in the Bellador series. If you don't already know, I love this series from the first book. It just keeps getting better and better. I connect with the main character, Evil Kincaid, a lot. She has gone through a shit ton of crap in her past, and so she doesn't trust people very well and has a hard times with emotions and connecting with people, and it's just interesting to see her fumble around with friendships and other relationships. And I think I connect with that so much because I have, in general, a hard time connecting with people because of my own past, and I can see that from her perspective as well. And it's kind of interesting also, between her and Storm and their relationship, to see them try to work through it, and kind of reminds me of how I met Alan and how that all went down. But these are very good books. I will probably be picking up the 4th book for next month and reading it as soon as possible. The 5th book is yet to come out this year, but, you know, when that comes out, I'll be definitely up on that. The next book I read is Shadow's Edge by Brent Weeks. This is book 2 in the Night Angel trilogy. I read this for a buddy read, but I think she slowed down on her reading, so I don't think she read this for June. I do really want to get to the book 3, but I don't think I will have enough time to get to it till August. So yeah, I'll probably read the 3rd and final book in August. In the beginning of this book, I was going to give it a 3, or maybe a 2, but because it was kind of boring in the beginning half, because he's trying to have a normal life, trying to give up being a wet boy, but towards the middle and end half of the book, it started getting really good and finally, picking up the pace. And so I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5. Again, with this book, I really hate how they portray women in this book. You can basically only be a virgin or a whore, and there's no really happy medium in this book, and that kind of bothers me, because that's not life. I mean, come on. But I do like one of the girls in this book, V. She's one of the only main girl wet boys that actually kills, and kind of like Kylar, and when you first meet her, you don't really see from her point of view, so you just think she's, this awesome wet boy that, she's badass, basically. But then you get points of views in this book, and you finally figure out, oh, she doesn't have a great life. Her life actually sucks, and there's reasons why she is the way she is, and why she's trying to get away from these guys that have her, basically chained without being chained, if that makes sense. I did enjoy it, especially towards the end when, of course, everything was happening. Again, I can't wait to get to the 3rd book. Someone said that's that one's one of the best books and out of all 3 of them. So I'm really excited to finish the trilogy and report back my thoughts on it. The last book that I read is The Porcelain Child by Jessica Dahl. I don't know if you can see that. It's book 2 in the Broken Line series. I loved this book compared to the first one. I loved Mary's character. She's completely different than Adele. And yeah, I just loved her compared to Adele. And I will have a written review on my blog for this book. I do have one as well for the first book. I will put those links down in the description bar. And yeah, I just loved how different she was compared to her mother. And I think part of the reason is because Adela didn't really raise her daughter, because big surprise there, Adela doesn't like children really, so she basically sends her off to her aunts and she grows up there. And this is many years after the first book, where Adele's 16, 17, 18, somewhere around there. And, and she could have been the complete opposite of Della. She could have been just spineless, girly, and whatnot, but she wasn't. She still had a very strong backbone to her character, and she could have let all the people walk over her and tell her what to do, because they basically were in the beginning. But then she was like, hey, wait a minute, I gotta say in this too, this is my life. Now, this is what we're gonna do. I want peace, I don't want war, and she's like, I'm tired of it. And I like that about her. She didn't listen to anyone. Even when others were like, no, let's do this, she wouldn't take any of that crap, and she would just go on with her own. And I'm glad how it ended. I'm glad that she was able to figure things out, and because she knew what she wanted in life, well, she didn't know at the beginning, but by the end of it, she knew what she wanted, and I'm glad she was able to get that for herself. I know Jessica Dahl will be coming out with a novella. I think it'll be only in ebook format. And the novella will be set between book 1 and 2, and it'll be more about Adela and what happens after book 1 when she leaves the country. I will be reading this novella just because I kind of want to know about the missing years in between book 1 and 2 and where Adela goes and what all happens. Because you kind of get a little bit that Mary knows, that her daughter knows. But not too much, because again, Mary has grown up away from her mother, doesn't know too much about her other than she's very ambitious and likes to get her way. That's about it. And I don't know if there will be a book 3. I'm guessing there probably will be, but I'm not sure. I will probably have more information up on my blog and ask the author about it. But I really recommend the books. Even if you don't like book 1, because she's kind of like an anti-hero. I think that's what Jessica called it. I really recommend book 2, because just keep with it, because it gets so much better. Now I will be picking my July pick of the month, or what I will be reading. I picked Cinder by Marissa Meyer. If you don't already know, I have already read this book. So I will be picking up the second book, Scarlet, and I wanted to read this book for June, but I just didn't get to it, and after all those young adult books, I didn't really feel like another young adult book. I just needed a break. But I think definitely I want to get to it this month. But those were all the books that I read in the month of June, and the one so far that you know that I will be reading in July. The next video that I will have up is my July TBR, and I might have another video up after that, just because I will be gone for a week on vacation and won't be able to post any videos, so I might just have a couple up already, and yeah. But that's all I got. Thanks. Bye.